What if the reason we have not found alien life in space is because we have been searching in the wrong direction all along? More than 80% of Earth's ocean remains unexplored, a world of crushing darkness more alien than outer space itself. And what scientists have already discovered down there is forcing us to rethink everything we know about life and where it can hide. Beneath the familiar blue surface, a world stretches out in almost total secrecy. The numbers alone are staggering. Over 80% of the ocean has never been mapped, measured, or seen by human eyes. Even with the latest multi-beam sonar, only about 20% of the seafloor has been charted in detail, leaving the rest as a blank on our most advanced maps. Cameras and submersibles have captured images from less than 0.1% of the deep seafloor. In practical terms, this means we know more about the surfaces of Mars and the Moon than we do about our own ocean depths. The sheer scale of the unknown is hard to grasp. The ocean covers more than 70% of Earth, but the vast majority of its trenches, ridges, and abyssal plains remain untouched by any probe or submersible. In the deepest trenches, pressure rises above 1,100 atmospheres, enough to crush steel. Below 200 meters, sunlight disappears completely. Temperatures hover just above freezing, and the cold darkness stretches for thousands of miles in every direction. Technical obstacles have kept these places hidden. Specialized robots and submersibles can survive the crushing pressure, but their reach is limited. A single deep-sea expedition can cost millions of dollars, and even then it might only map a sliver of the seafloor. The polar oceans, covered in shifting ice, remain almost entirely uncharted. Remote mid-ocean ridges and the sprawling abyssal plains are so vast and featureless that even the most ambitious mapping projects barely scratch the surface. In this darkness, the boundaries of the unvisited press in from all sides. What might exist in these unvisited realms remains a question without an answer. That is a question that scientists are only beginning to ask in earnest. At depths where no sunlight has ever reached, life takes forms that seem to defy the rules of biology. In 2025, a remote-operated vehicle descended nearly 10,800 meters into the Mariana Trench and captured footage of a creature that left the science team silent. Dr. Sullivan, the expedition's lead biologist, described it as a living riddle, soft, translucent, and shimmering with its own cold light. The organism, provisionally named Abyssotherma aliena, drifts in the trench's crushing blackness, its gelatinous body pulsing with blue-green flashes. Each burst of light is a chemical reaction, bioluminescence, producing up to 1 billion photons per second from organs no larger than a grain of rice. In these depths, light is not a luxury, but a language, a warning, a lure, a shield. Abyssotherma is not alone in its strangeness. The vampire squid, Vampiroteuthis infernalis, hovers at 1,000 meters, trailing a cloak of photophores that can erupt in a sudden crimson glow. Its arms are webbed, its eyes glow red, and when threatened, it releases a cloud of glowing mucus, a defensive flare in the dark. Even larger, the giant squid Architeuthis dux, with eyes as wide as a human head, navigates the abyss by detecting faint glimmers from other creatures. Transparent glass squid, Tuthowenia pellucida, float nearly invisible at 2,000 meters, their bodies refracting what little light exists so perfectly that they vanish against the water. Dr. Sullivan's words echo through the expedition log. Every new species we find seems more impossible than the last. They're not just surviving, they've mastered an alien world. The question lingers: how do these beings endure pressure that would flatten a submarine? And what secrets might their strange biology hold? The mystery only deepens as the search for answers descends further into the abyss. At the bottom of the ocean, sunlight is a memory. Here, life is forced to invent new ways to survive. Where photosynthesis fails, chemosynthesis takes over, a process that draws energy not from the sun, but from chemicals erupting from the Earth's crust. Hydrothermal vents, discovered along the East Pacific Rise and other mid-ocean ridges, spew superheated water rich in hydrogen sulfide and minerals. The temperature here can reach 400 degrees Celsius at the vent mouth, yet just meters away, the water chills to near freezing. Pressure climbs to 110 megapascals, which is over 1,000 times what we feel at sea level. Dr. Chris German, a leading expert in deep-sea chemistry, describes these vents as alien oases. The vent fluids, loaded with sulfides and metals, create a chemical soup that would be toxic to most known organisms. But extremophiles, microbes that thrive under lethal conditions, have evolved to use these chemicals as fuel. Sulfide oxidizing bacteria and archaea form the foundation of entire ecosystems, supporting tube worms, giant clams, and blind shrimp. Instead of chlorophyll, these microbes rely on enzymes that can withstand temperatures up to 122 degrees Celsius and crushing pressure. Their secret lies in specialized molecules called piezolites, which prevent their proteins from collapsing under the weight of the deep. Some of these organisms live at the very edge of life's known limits. The record for heat tolerance belongs to Pyrolobus fumari, a microbe that grows at 113 degrees Celsius inside vent chimneys. Others endure acidity, salinity, or radiation that would kill any surface creature. Every adaptation pushes the boundaries of what life can be, raising the question, if organisms can survive here, what else might be possible in Earth's ocean or beyond? Hydrophones anchored to the seafloor have captured sounds that defy easy explanation. Among the most famous is the bloop, recorded in 1997 by NOAA's Pacific Marine Environmental Laboratory. The sound, a low-frequency rumble that rose in pitch and echoed across more than 5,000 kilometers of ocean, was strong enough to register on sensors half a world apart. While later linked to icequakes, the bloop's sheer intensity left researchers unsettled. It was not alone. Other signals, upsweep, Julia, and a handful of unnamed pulses continue to ripple through the deep, their origins unknown. Each carries a spectral fingerprint that fails to match any known marine animal, submarine, or geological event. Jay Kim, a veteran ROV pilot, recalls a night in the Challenger Deep when the submersible's sonar lit up with a broad moving reflection. He said it was not a rockfall or a whale. It was something big, soft, and moving slowly. Then the hydrophone caught a series of clicks, deep and regular, like a coded message in the dark. The data log from that dive shows a spike in backscatter intensity at 10,900 meters, coinciding with a cluster of low-frequency pulses. No visual confirmation ever came. The anomaly faded into the black, leaving only questions. Across the globe, arrays of autonomous sensors now sweep the abyss for patterns. Most return silence, but every so often, a burst of sound cuts through, a signal that hints at something vast, alive, and hidden. With only a sliver of the ocean monitored at any given time, the possibility remains. Somewhere in that darkness, an intelligence might be listening back. A new generation of exploration is racing to chart the unknown. The Seabed 2030 project has set an ambitious goal to map the entire ocean floor in high resolution by the year 2030. This global effort combines the power of multi-beam sonar with fleets of autonomous underwater vehicles, machines built to roam for weeks at a time, far beyond the reach of any human pilot. These robotic explorers glide silently over abyssal plains and Hadal trenches, collecting bathymetric data at a scale never before attempted. Unlike traditional research ships, which can only cover narrow tracks at enormous cost, swarms of autonomous underwater vehicles can spread out, mapping hundreds of square kilometers in a single mission. Their sensors capture every ridge, canyon, and vent, turning blank spaces on our maps into detailed landscapes. With each pass, the blind spots shrink and the outlines of the deep grow sharper. But mapping is only the first step. The next challenge is finding signs of life in the darkness. Detecting life in the deep no longer depends on sight alone. Environmental DNA, or eDNA, has become a tool for uncovering hidden organisms that escape every camera and net. Dr. Megan Sullivan calls it a molecular fingerprint left behind by anything alive. Autonomous underwater vehicles and robotic samplers now filter seawater at depth, searching for genetic traces invisible to the naked eye. In a single liter of seawater, scientists have identified hundreds of species, some never seen, some with no match in any database. This approach echoes the work of NASA's Ocean Worlds program, where chemical markers like hydrogen and methane are used to hunt for life beneath the ice of Europa and Enceladus. Dr. Chris German explains that if we can prove these signatures point to biology here, we're closer to recognizing them on other worlds. The deep ocean has become a proving ground, where each new detection method sharpens our ability to find life on Earth and perhaps far beyond. More than 80% of our oceans remain shrouded in darkness, unmapped, unobserved, and unexplored. Every deep descent brings us closer to the unknown. The next revelation may not just reshape science. It could redefine what it means to be alone. The mystery waits, just beyond the reach of light.